How's the royal family? I pray that everyone is doing well. Well, my royal family, I'm going to speak from the heart today, but I do have two videos that I will be sharing with the royal family. I'm not going to read any articles. I'm just strictly going to speak on pure emotions. And y'all see the title that I have. And the first thing that I want to state is I don't support no parties at all. None. So I want y'all to get that straight. I don't give a fuck about the Republicans, the Democratic Party, the Greenpeace, whatever these parties is that they got out here. But we know the two dominant ones are the Republicans and the Democratic Party. And they literally are being punked. They literally is. And they playing a fucking game. And something I noticed a long time ago about the Democratic Party is they wishy-washy on their belief system, on many different things. The one thing that I can say about the Republican Party, you know where you stand with them. We know that they is racist to the fucking core. We know that they don't give a damn about nobody, only about lining their pockets, and it's all about pick yourself up by the bootstraps and don't come to the government for shit. We know this. But then the Democratic Party, they so busy trying to appease everyone to get the vote, but they the same way. Now, I have said it and others have said it. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what party it is. They all of these parties are led by white people, and the ultimate goal is to uphold white supremacy and keep it in full tack. And they try to give off an energy that they're very accepting to the royal family. I'm not going to speak about any other groups, because over here I'm only concerned about us and us only. And that's the shit that they like to throw in our face. Like when we speak about ADOS, well, what about this group of people? What about that group of people? And they try to make us feel guilty of some kind of way. But the Democratic Party is being punked big time. Now, we know that Trump's people, and we know where it's coming from they leader himself to ignore subpoenas. And so the latest is Hope Hicks, and she doesn't even work for Trump anymore. And they have told her to ignore subpoenas, which is very serious. You don't ignore a subpoena, they will come and take your ass to jail. But there's an exception when it comes to them. And we seeing the Democratic Party acting like they don't know how to exercise the law at all. So Trump's and them people then came up there and they said, no, we're going to change everything. And see, I said this a few nights ago where in DC, there's old establishments there. They ain't into change. No. And Trump then came up there and stirred up some shit, and the Democratic Party don't know what to do. Something that I wanted to add that Lisa Cabrera said to me, she said, and I hope I ain't jacking it up, Lisa, you can clear me up a little bit on it, but she said that this stuff about Trump turning over his finances and his taxes and all of this stuff, they should have had him demanded for him to do that when he was running for president. You don't let him get in office, or anyone get in office, and we at this point now, we basically in an election season. So the Democratic Party is full of shit and they being punked. I'm going to show numerous areas where they are being punked. So, this is going to be like a combo video. I want to get it all in. So now we got Roger Stone. He's being very defiant, and there is a gag order put on him, and he has broke that gag order numerous times. Now, this is one that he did a while back where he's showing his flat, pasty ass. And you see that Nixon is tattooed on his back. And, you know, somebody was on Twitter and they said, I believe this violates the gag order. So Trump and his folks, they are breaking the law. And they are, even if a judge put down a gag order on you, they're like, fuck y'all. I do what I want to do. And this video that I'm about to show y'all, gonna kind of talk about all these combination of things that I'm talking about: subpoenas, gag orders, being defiant, doing what the fuck they want to do. So I'm gonna play these two videos back to back, and then I'm gonna close it out real sweet and point out that chickens really have came home to roost. They not only in your backyard, your front yard, they on top of your house, and they in your house. This is what happens when you let shit go too far. This is what happens when you fuck over the royal family.
Days when, in addition to everything that has happened in the news, there's also a bunch of stuff that is about to happen that we've been sort of watching for and waiting for all day and into this evening. One of the things we've been watching for involves the criminal case about Trump's national security advisor, Mike Flynn. A couple weeks ago, the judge in the Flynn case ordered prosecutors to produce specific documents and make them public, including the transcripts of Mike Flynn's calls with the Russian government during the presidential transition. These are the calls about which Flynn later pled guilty to lying to the FBI about them. Well, the deadline for federal prosecutors to have complied with that order and released the transcript of Flynn's conversations with the Russians was this past Friday. Sort of amazingly, prosecutors didn't comply with that court order. They didn't release the transcript of Flynn's conversations with the Russian government. Judges don't tend to like it when lawyers don't do what they're told to do by court order. The judge in Flynn's case in particular, Emmett Sullivan, beyond, I think, the way judges would typically feel about their orders not being followed, Judge Sullivan in particular has a reputation for not suffering any shenanigans in his courtroom or in his cases. But since the prosecutors hit that deadline on Friday and refused to release that information about Flynn despite the court order, we have been expecting a response from Judge Sullivan. Thus far, we have not yet seen one, but we're sort of on tenterhooks waiting for that to happen. Another thing we've been watching for today is whether Roger Stone could soon be going to jail. Roger Stone is awaiting trial on charges that include lying to Congress about his interactions with WikiLeaks during the 2016 campaign when they were releasing information stolen by the Russian government. You might remember that after his indictment, Roger Stone decided it would be a good idea to post online a picture of the judge in his case with a crosshairs next to her head, at which point that judge imposed a very strict gag order on Roger Stone about barring him from talking about his case and the overall investigation from which his case sprang. Well, nevertheless, this weekend, Roger Stone decided he had a new good idea. He decided to go online and call for the death of former CIA Director John Brennan. He called for Brennan to be hanged for treason. Claiming that the entire Trump-Russia investigation that led to Roger Stone being charged was illegitimate, not a result in its perpetrators being killed. And I am not a lawyer, but boy, does that seem like a straight-down-the-middle violation of that gag order prohibiting Roger Stone from talking about the investigation or his case. So again, with that one, we are watching to see whether or if the judge in the Roger Stone case will react to that online posting and whether or not the judge might view that as having violated that gag order, in which case Mr. Stone could be up against the risk of going to jail while he awaits his trial rather than waiting it out at home. One last thing we are keeping an eye on this evening is not in a courtroom, but in Congress. Last month, former White House counsel Don McGahn, you may remember, he defied a subpoena from Congress. Congress ordered him to show up and testify. The White House ordered him to not show up and testify. He decided to go with the White House instruction. But the Judiciary Committee pressed ahead that same day, issued 2 additional subpoenas to other important Mueller investigation witnesses, former White House Communications Director Hope Hicks and Annie Donaldson, who was Don McGahn's chief of staff and who reportedly kept voluminous notes of all of her time in the White House. The subpoenas to Hicks and Donaldson require them to turn over documents to the committee by tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Now, as of tonight, we have not heard whether those 2 witnesses intend to comply. We are expecting that the Trump White House will presumably order Hope Hicks and Ms. Donaldson to not turn over documents, just like they've ordered other witnesses to not comply with other congressional subpoenas. So tonight we are awaiting word on whether the White House is going to block them from handing over those documents or whether they will just defy them on their own, whether there will be additional contempt charges here. I mean, even without Mueller investigation witnesses, the Judiciary Committee does say they are moving ahead with hearings on the Mueller report. Judiciary Chairman Gerald Nadler today announced a series of hearings in response to the report, starting with someone who knows something about presidents obstructing justice, Richard Nixon's White House counsel John Dean, whose congressional testimony blew the Watergate scandal wide open. He'll be the Judiciary Committee's first witness a week from today because, you know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. The Judiciary Committee, again, trying to get witnesses who are people who provided evidence to the Mueller report directly. So far, the White House has either blocked those witnesses from complying with subpoenas or we are expecting them to. But that includes documents we're waiting on from the White House this night. We'll let you know over the course of this hour as we hear more. Stay with us.
All right. Let me shut that down, my royal family. So, it is 3:39 p.m. California time, and so that is a 3-hour difference. So it is essentially, you might as well say it's 7 p.m. in DC. Ain't shit happened. The Democratic Party is being punked. This is not a good look. And then they think they'll put up shit like this to make it look like they doing something. That's a waste of our taxpayers' money, putting impeach there, knowing damn well they not gonna do shit. Now, we know that, let me make sure I got the right picture. We know that Nancy Pelosi, she's ahead of the Democratic Party. And she full of shit too. They have laws on the books when you are not honoring subpoenas, gag orders, whatever is being rendered down. And yeah, they put a handful of people in jail, and it's like, you know, what is the hesitation? We know that even though Barack Obama didn't do shit for us, but let's flip that around. If Barack Obama was still the president, oh, he would not be the president. Not at all. You know what's so deep to me about this is it shows the royal family how one of their own, they want you to put up with their fucking antics. And I have never seen nothing like this in my life, you know, but I did foreseen the corrosion of the White House. And where I clearly seen it, I said when Barack Obama was elected that the way the enemy would look at the White House is forever tainted. You know, like they used to scrub a damn swimming pool if we got in it. And when McCain and Palin was on the ticket, and we know how dumb Sarah Palin continued to be, I was like, wow. You know, now we also know that Bush #2, they said clinically he was a functioning retarded person, and that came from their own people. And And I never thought somebody could be as dumb as Trump. He knows nothing about the Constitution at all. We know he don't read. All he do is figure out shit while he watch TV, and he don't listen to nobody. He just listens to himself. But this is exactly what they get. Oh, I'm getting there, my royal family. I'm getting there. You know, I gotta drag it. So let's listen to this next video.
This is information we are legally entitled to receive, and we are constitutionally obligated to review.
The House Judiciary Committee voted along party lines to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt of Congress after he defied a subpoena to turn over the special counsel's full, unredacted report with its underlying evidence. The contempt vote now goes to the full House. If it passes there, it will be up to the U.S. Attorney's District of Columbia office or the Justice Department to decide whether to pursue criminal charges.
A subpoena from Congress is just like a subpoena from any other organization that has that power. So it's just like a subpoena from a judge or a grand jury or a federal agency.
A contempt vote is the first step toward criminal prosecution. It is also the latest move in the escalating battle between congressional Democrats and the Trump administration.
Well, we're fighting all the subpoenas. Look, these aren't like impartial people. The Democrats are trying to win 2020.
Congress has the legal authority to compel testimony and subpoena documents, but what the law allows may be different than what Congress can enforce.
Congress has long sort of struggled with how to enforce those subpoenas because they don't have a police force, they don't have a jail, and ultimately a lot of these fights are about whether they can get these people to actually show up.
If someone does not comply with a congressional subpoena, there are three legal options.
They can refer someone to the U.S. Attorney for the District of Columbia for prosecution, but when that comes to a government official like the Attorney General, it's pretty rare, in fact it's pretty unprecedented.
The Wall Street Journal has reported the Justice Department has a policy against prosecuting its own.
The criminal side is not going to work because the Attorney General is the person that runs the Justice Department.
Congress can go to the civil courts.
They can file a civil lawsuit, so they can ask a federal judge to issue an order compelling a witness or basically someone to provide either documents or testimony to Congress.
It takes time for civil lawsuits to wind their way through court.
And the third thing they can do is they have this sort of long dormant legal power called inherent contempt, which means that they can ask the sergeant-at-arms of either the House or the Senate to go and take a witness into custody themselves and drag them before Congress to give testimony. Now that's a pretty drastic step, and it hasn't been used in about 100 years.
Congress also has the option to play the political card.
Beyond the formal sort of levers of power, beyond the lawsuits and beyond the idea of holding people in contempt, Congress also does control the power of the purse, meaning that they're the ones that ultimately decide funding for agencies like the Department of Justice. And, you know, that's a lever that Congress could employ as well. They could say, we're not going to fund the Department of Justice. We're not going to fund any of the president's priorities until we get the documents or we get the testimony that we've been waiting for. In 2019, both sides see a political advantage to fighting. In previous fights like this, I think both sides saw a political advantage in compromise.
Okay, I thought that was very necessary, my royal family, to play that video so we know how things work, what necessary steps need to be taken. And remember when I told the royal family a while back, my husband said, when it comes to the law dealing with white people, it's all about the spirit of the law. But when it comes to us, it is the letter of the law. So basically, they didn't really got themselves in deep shit because we in election season, and they didn't let the Democratic Party didn't let this shit drag out too long because they're afraid to make a move, because the only thing that they are concerned about is their immediate situation and holding on to their seats and shit. And this is a clear example, my royal family, when you see white people at war and jockeying for power. They don't give a damn about us. They ain't paying attention about anything that's going on with us. This is not our fight at all. But this is the part that fucking pisses me off. When it gets down to the wire, then they come and pander to us. And y'all see the thumbnail that I have, but I'm gonna show it because I'm gonna read it. So Malcolm X spoke these words 53 years ago. 53 years ago. That's a long motherfucking time. And ain't nothing changed. So he says here, the Negro Revolution is controlled by foxy white liberals, by the government itself, but the Black Revolution is controlled only by, I'm going to say, Yah. That's true. The divine hand is all in this, and I'm not talking down at all. I don't speak to y'all like that. We should not ever look for the government to fulfill anything for us. When I look at things on a spiritual level, I clearly see what Yah is doing with us, how the divine hand is orchestrating all of this. Because, I did a hangout a couple of days ago about, looking at things spiritually, coming back to ourselves. See, I always see the beauty in the worst things. I have often say, healing the war and healing the chaos. Heal. Now, I know y'all have heard this statement, and I did put it up as the thumbnail, but I will read it. The Democrats are playing you for a political chump. And if you vote for them, not only are you a chump, you are a traitor to your race. And after he made that statement, he was killed 2 days after he said that, which they had planned that way long ago. So, again, I pray that people really heard what I said in the beginning. I support none of these parties because they all one and the same. Listen to me clearly. Their ultimate goal is to uphold white supremacy. There is all kind of stuff going on in America. I keep talking about the weather, and many others of us are talking about the weather. The country is being flooded out in some areas. And now, Lisa did remind me today that hurricane season is right on their ass. Right on their ass. But just watch. We know how they get down. They drag themselves to the black community and start pandering to us. Right now, they act like they don't need us. They act like they ain't hearing us. They don't give a fuck about you. Me. We, the royal family. So, individually, we must get our house in order. And then collectively, we need to resolve some major issues between each other. And I know we can do it. Now, we won't collectively have all of the royal family on board. We're going to always have people I call them the enemy supporters, that, they look to these white people to fulfill their immediate situation and stuff. Oh, no. And the thing is, don't let the enemy pump fear in you. And that's what the Democratic Party going to be doing, saying you're going to have Trump here and he's going to do this and that. Ain't nobody doing shit for us but fucking over us. We didn't live through all of this. We didn't got this far. So what is there to fear? Only fear Yah. Respect Yah. Fully having total faith. But see, some of us are so fucked up. We have faith in these parties. We have faith in these people. Do y'all realize on the world stage how America looked with this idiot? Where is he at? This idiot right here. And where I'm at. And then all of this. These are idiots here. These are the so-called people that have been leaders, who have been leaders. All right? You know, and it's all about how quick I can trick you. How quick I can trick you. But you know what I said? Because, you know, some people don't listen real well. And these people here are very clear in their intentions. Very clear. And I can respect that. Even though I don't like it, I know where they stand. But Pelosi and them, they pussyfooting. They plan. They pandering. And it pisses me off when they pull that shit when it's time to get our vote. Get our vote. And it was something I wanted to show y'all when I was going through this. Let me see here if I can find this. Let me go back. It was something that I found. Oh, here it is. Right here. See, it's good to dig up history. I was reading this. History is clear. The facts are certain. Who started the KKK? Who supported the KKK? Who created Jim Crow laws? Who enforced them? Who arrested MLK? Who opposed civil rights legislation? I hate when I pronounce that word wrong. Who fought against the right of black Americans to vote? The Democrats. That's who. Don't you think it's time to get off the Democratic plantation and think for yourself? No, you get off all of them plantations, because it's all a trick bag. Shit ain't gonna change at all. But the same usual will happen. And they don't have an agenda for us. We are not a protective class. And by the government's silence, they sanction our slaughtering in the streets of America. So the Democratic Party, yeah, you being punked, because Trump and them are defying you. They say, fuck your subpoenas. They telling the judges, fuck your gag orders. I say what I want to say. If I get locked up, Trump gonna get me out anyway. So I thought I would just kind of bring that all together, instead of doing multiple videos about it. And when I was listening to that video that Rachel Maddow spoke of, that was perfect for the way I was thinking. So I'm going to leave it there, my royal family. So render your voice with your beautiful, divine words. And as always, my royal family, I thank you for your love. I thank you for your support. And with that said, Ashe.